Do you have a problem of rushing from the top of your swing? You're like most golfers if you do. But it isn't as straightforward as just saying slow down, because usually that leads to other problems because you start thinking about positions too much. We still need flow. We still need a natural execution and your natural tempo. It's about getting the sequence right. And most of you kind of whittle down the simple golf swing sequence into 2 moves. I'm going to show you that counting to 3 is going to make all the difference in the world. We are going to count in your golf swing, and it's going to be 1 for the backswing. And that's what we're going to cover right now. You cannot think about too many things. Really, as humans, we're kind of dumb. We can't multitask. We might think we can, but we can't multitask at least very well. And when we're on the golf course, we're multitasking, we're trying to all the time. So we really do have to simplify our task. And the task is to strike this piece of metal onto the ball over there. And already that is kind of multitasking, because one task will be just to make contact. But not only do we want to make contact, we want to send the ball to the direction that we want, the distance that we want. So all these variables start coming up already. So we cannot have too many things to think about in our actual movement, our swing. So what do we want to do instead? It doesn't mean this is the solution for everything, the only thing you're ever going to need. But when we're on the course, or when you're next out practicing, I want you to try this. The count, what we're going to do, is literally 1. And just that number alone is going to be your backswing. The purpose of the count is to help you focus and dial in to the swing sequence. That's what we're after, a reliable swing sequence, not positions. So number 1 is going to really just cover our entire backswing. That's it. So I'm not going to give you a specific backswing lesson here. All I want you to do is find a movement, a feel that as you say the words 1, you're going to start your movement. I don't want it to be a snatchy takeaway. I don't want you to worry about hinging too earlier. I just want you to see what happens when you kind of let go of too many thoughts or too many expectations. If you can, get up and try this with me. I want you to just say number 1, and make a backswing. Whatever that backswing is to you. I would prefer you to have a more general main feel, so it's going to be more body orientated, feeling like the rib cage is your engine moving the club back rather than the hands or the wrists. Let's use something just as you would to throw a ball. Go 1. See how I use movement, momentum, and my arm ends up more or less into a golf swing position. If you just want to try it with one hand only first, we just go 1 and see where that puts you, okay? And that's it. And we're going to piece all this together and it's going to make sense in a moment. But just rehearse that a few times. Stand over a ball, imaginary ball, and just go 1 and see what happens, okay? And as we get to 1, we're not making a downswing yet. What we're doing next is the magic, the true magic of what most people miss. Because most people go into 2, hitting the ball. And that is where rushing the swing comes from. That's where the sequence gets all out of whack, either over the top or getting stuck underneath because we're trying to throw the hands at it, or we're spinning out too much. We're too eager to get to number 2, to hit the ball. It happens too quickly. And what we're trying to accomplish here is to develop a moment of time that feels longer than it actually is. And just by saying this makes all the difference. It's all about the transition, not anything specific, because a few things have to happen and I've got other lessons that can help it. But I want you to just have the goal of saying in your mind 2. And what that's going to do, because we make the backswing at number 1. 2 is my, not top of the swing, it is my transition. It is my intention to move my swing energy from going this way back towards, well, the ball and then the target. So we can move on to number 3, and we'll get to that in a second. So the number 2, the purpose of it is to apply some brakes to the backswing, to allow that transition and to make sure that we initiate the sequence, change gears if you will, to move back down towards the ball. Now there are a few things that are going to help facilitate this. And that's going to feel like we actually apply a little bit of pressure into the ground, a little bit more with the feet. When we get to the top of the swing, you can even apply some pressure into the heels to make sure that we are planting the feet. And this happens in a split second where we're just getting to the top of the swing, but before we actually complete our backswing, I want you to say 2. And 2 is going to be pretty much from here to about here. It is this moment of time where we're changing direction. And just to reiterate, this isn't about the specifics of exactly what to do in the transition. I've got other lessons on that. I just want you to try and chill out a second. That fraction of a second where we're not really trying to go hard from the top, that fraction of the second doesn't mean a pause, just count to whatever you need to do. And it will give you an awareness. And here's where I want you to become aware of your own swing, because you'll start to find what works best for you. Whether it is, I'm going to allow those arms to lower. That's my number 2. I'm going to plant the foot. That's my number 2. I'm going to allow everything to just move a little bit more together with my hip, getting my elbow in front. Maybe that's my number 2, but that's for another time. Just by saying the words 1, 2, okay? It's going to just apply the brakes for that fraction of a second that can feel like an eternity, so we can have all the time in the world to deliver back. I'll give you one little bonus tip for the transition, which I've noticed has helped people actually apply this 1, 2, 3. Because we want to try and create some awareness, a neat little trick, if you will, is by the time we're sort of making our way to the top, we've gone 1, and just as we're saying 2, as I say 2, I'm actually going to feel like I kind of squeeze my arms together. I'm actually compressing my arms together before I've finished my backswing. As I make the downswing, a lot of times these arms are kind of disconnected because we're rushing. If we have a feeling of squeezing these arms together, okay, squeeze these arms together, it's going to again just slow us down for a fraction, but give us the right connections and enable us to execute the sequence that bit better, to execute number 3. Number 3 is basically our intention to move back and strike the ball. So it's striking the ball, and you can say it really pretty quickly. So it's 1, 2, 3. And by the time you're saying 3, we should be just about into impact. But I don't care about the specifics of it. This is about you training yourself and your own pace and tempo. And you might find that when you first try to count 1, 2, 3, it's like 1, 2, like you just don't have a chance to say 3. So start having some practice swings at home right now and see how easily it is to say 1, 2, 3. So every shot you start practicing, it's just going to be 1, 2, 3. It's going to give you, I mean, that was just a little dink, but that's how I want you to start with. That 1, 2, 3, that transition, that squeeze of the arms, that moment in time is going to give you unparalleled consistency and trust and confidence when you're out on the golf course. 1, 2, 3. It's very simple, but very effective.